If you're on a routine house visit, dropping by to see your pastor, and you catch him literally with his pants down, alone with a married church member, what would you do? How would you handle such a shocking and scandalous moment? This is the shocking story of Pastor Tavner Smith of Venue Church in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
The Christian community was recently rocked by the egregious behavior of Pastor Tavner Smith of Venue Church in Chattanooga, Tennessee. This so-called man of God was caught on video engaging in an alleged extramarital affair with an employee of the congregation. A video surfaced showing Smith shamelessly kissing this woman in a restaurant, which led to the resignation of at least 8 staff members in protest of his despicable actions.
Pastor Tavner Smith is the pastor of Venue Church in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Tavner started from scratch in 2012. He quickly turned it into one of the fastest growing churches in the country, drawing over 2,000 attendees by 2015. The church was known for its modern worship style and lively services. Venue Church thrived under Smith's dynamic and charismatic preaching. Smith frequently flaunted his wealth on social media, posting pictures of himself in designer sneakers and clothes. Sunday services at Venue Church featured light shows and standing ovations for Smith, who was always accompanied by a security team and armed bodyguards. These theatrics were designed to create a cult of personality around Smith, diverting attention from his questionable conduct. Before Venue Church, Smith was an executive student pastor at Redemption World Outreach Center in Greenville, South Carolina, where he worked closely with his mentor, Pastor Ron Carpenter. However, Smith's success came crashing down when a scandal broke out. He was caught on video kissing a woman who wasn't his wife. This woman was not only a member of the church, but also a married employee of the church. And let's be honest, it's sadly becoming all too common these days to hear about pastors having affairs with their female staff, married or not. There are countless stories of pastors being caught sneaking out of hotels with congregants' wives. Pastor Smith's situation was just the latest in this troubling trend. But wait, it gets worse. In November, a group of church volunteers decided to surprise Smith at his home. What they found was shocking. Smith was alone with the woman from the video. She was in a towel and he was in his boxers. Seriously, what in God's name is a married woman doing in a towel at the pastor's house? They claimed they had to take off their clothes because they got food on them while making hot dogs and chili. Can you imagine a flimsier excuse? It's almost laughable if it weren't so sad. Such blatant lies insult the intelligence of the congregation and tarnish the sanctity of the church. This scandal was the last straw for many. At least 8 staff members resigned in protest, and the church's reputation took a nosedive. The controversy didn't just stop at the affair, it exposed deeper issues within the church, like a total lack of oversight and some serious financial mismanagement. Despite overwhelming evidence, Smith refused to admit to the affair. Instead, he cowardly announced a sabbatical, dodging accountability. His wife, in the midst of their divorce proceedings, accused him of adultery and demanded that the female employee be kept away from their children. Adding to the scandal, the female employee's husband has also filed for divorce. In a pathetic attempt to control the damage, Smith convened a meeting with his staff and congregation. Witnesses reported his evasiveness and refusal to answer questions directly. "He has no remorse," one former church member said. "He truly believes that's what God told him to do." So, despite being caught in an affair with another married woman, Smith still insisted on continuing to pastor his church.
"I'm not going anywhere. I'm your pastor. I'm going to pastor this church. God called me here and nothing's changed about that. The vision has not changed. The promise still stands. What God spoke over this place is still going to happen. I would just like a few weeks to breathe a little bit. I'm going to preach Sunday for Christmas. I would still love for you to bring all of your friends, because regardless of anything, here's what I'll tell you. The gospel is going to be preached, and it's an opportunity for people to get saved. And I don't know what you believe, and I don't know what your theology is, but when there was somebody that was preaching Jesus to get the apostles in trouble, Paul said it this way. No, actually it was Jesus. Jesus said it this way because Peter's like, we need to shut them up. And Jesus said this, I don't care if they got the wrong motives. I don't care what their heart is. The gospel's being preached. Don't shut him up because it'll still save people. Sunday, the gospel's going to be presented on one of the 2 biggest days of the year that people can get saved. So I'm going to preach it.
You can't preach the gospel while living in immorality and expect to save people. A preacher has to be transparent, accountable, and strive to live a life pleasing to God. It's about walking the talk, not just speaking holy words while indulging in sinful actions behind the scenes. Think about it. How can a pastor effectively lead and inspire a congregation if they're caught up in moral failings? When a pastor is exposed for having an affair, especially with a married woman from the church, it undermines their credibility and the message they're trying to convey. The congregation looks to their pastor for spiritual guidance, expecting them to embody the principles they preach. If the pastor fails to do so, it leads to disappointment, distrust, and a potential crisis of faith for many followers. In the case of Pastor Tavner Smith, despite being caught in an affair, he still insists on continuing his pastoral duties. This isn't just a question of moral failing, it's a glaring display of pride. It seems he doesn't want to step out of the spotlight or relinquish his position of authority despite his actions causing scandal and hurt within the church. The church members directly asked Pastor Tavner Smith if he planned to continue his relationship with the woman he was caught with. Listen closely to what he has to say.
Are you 2 planning to be together? Are you in love with her?
As long as she is still married, we're not going to have any type of romantic relationship.
That doesn't answer my question.
When she's not married and I'm not married, yeah, we hope to pursue each other.
This response is concerning for several reasons. First and foremost, it shows a complete disregard for the immense pain and damage this affair has caused. His wife is seeking a divorce because of this relationship. The woman's husband is also leaving her, and the scandal has deeply hurt the church and the broader Christian community. Yet despite all this, Smith is still planning to continue this relationship once they are both legally free. Smith's intent to pursue the relationship once they are divorced suggests a lack of genuine repentance. True repentance involves a complete turning away from sin and seeking forgiveness, not just waiting for a more convenient time to continue the same behavior. Furthermore, in 1 Timothy, Paul outlines the qualifications for church leaders, stating that an overseer must be above reproach, faithful to his wife, temperate, self-controlled, respectable, hospitable, able to teach. Smith's actions and his intention to continue the relationship fall far short of these standards. Continuing in a relationship that has already caused so much harm demonstrates a lack of respect for the role of pastor and for the people he is supposed to shepherd. The scandal has also unearthed Smith's questionable financial dealings. Earning a staggering $200,000 per year, he and his wife owned 3 houses worth a combined $1 million. The church building itself is valued at $4.9 million. Smith's frequent sermons on the importance of tithing now reek of hypocrisy and greed. The fallout has been devastating. Nearly all of Venue Church's full-time employees have resigned and services were briefly suspended. The Georgia campus of the church closed entirely. Volunteers and members are left grappling with the betrayal, with some now seeing the church as a manipulative cult preying on vulnerable individuals. Pastor Tavner Smith's actions are a textbook example of a wolf in sheep's clothing. Despite his charismatic preaching and rapid rise to prominence, his scandalous behavior reveals a deep-seated hypocrisy. By engaging in an affair with a married congregant and continuing to justify his actions, Smith has betrayed the trust of his congregation and undermined the values he professed to uphold. Pastor Tavner Smith's actions are a textbook example of a wolf in sheep's clothing. Despite his charismatic preaching and rapid rise to prominence, his scandalous behavior reveals a deep-seated hypocrisy. By engaging in an affair with a married congregant and continuing to justify his actions, Smith has betrayed the trust of his congregation and undermined the values he professed to uphold. Christians must remain vigilant and discerning, holding their leaders accountable and ensuring that their actions align with their teachings. By learning from this example, the Christian community can better protect itself from those who seek to exploit their trust for personal gain.